If you watch my videos over the last year, you've seen I've been converting over a lot of my earlier Cinewhoops that I've been flying to new frames. And this actually was the very first Cinewhoop that I bought. It's the Reptile Cloud 149, so it's a 3-inch form factor 4S quad, and I remember paying only $119 for it in 2020, and I got it flying in April 2020, and I've really flown the heck out of it. I crashed it so many times I can't even keep track. I made lots of changes to it over that time. They came out with a longer frame version, so I incorporated the longer frame so you could put the GoPro camera up front a little more forward to where it was before. I changed out the motors, I changed out the props, I changed out the VTX. I think the controller is still the same in here, but you know, this thing just sitting here like this is 306 grams. And then when you add a GoPro to it, which at the time this was about the only option you had, was to put GoPros on the front of these, and that's one of these reasons this thing is so robust, is you have to carry heavy cameras. This is 124 grams, and to carry all that weight you got to use a big fat battery like a 1500 4S battery. This alone is 186 grams, so this package is 616 grams. While you try to fire this up and fly this around, carry all that weight makes a lot of noise. I did end up using 3052 GemFan props. They turned out to be the quietest of all of them, but this is still obnoxious to fly. You don't even see people flying many of these anymore, just because the noise factor was just driving people away from them. But this was, you know, there was a good 10 different competing Cinewhoop ducted designs back then. All of them are pretty much gone. One of the first ones I converted over, I took a 2.5-inch ducted Cinewhoop last year and converted it over. It was called the Civitar 120. I converted over its electronics and motors and, you know, the VTX, everything, over to a Pavo 30 frame. I call this the Bravo 30. It's also a 3-inch Cinewhoop, and what happened in the last few years is you can use naked GoPros now, or a Go-To camera, or the Peanut camera. They're all under 30 grams. So you add the basic frame, which on the Reptile Cloud, this frame dry with nothing in it was 115 grams. Well, this frame here is only 56 grams. When you put all the guts in it, add the camera, and then now we can fly with smaller, lighter weight batteries like this HV 850 to get us a good 5 minutes of flight time. This whole package just sitting right here is 248 grams. So that's pretty compelling. A lot of big changes in just a few short years. So one of the goals for today was to take this old beast, and rather than just have it keep hanging on my wall for the rest of its life, I'm going to strip all the electronics out of it, put all of it into a new frame. So let me show you what frame I picked. So there's basically only 3 frames that are on the market right now. One is that Bravo 30 that I just, or Pavo 30 that I just showed you. For, you know, it's a 3-inch pusher style that you can get for about $35. It weighs in about 56 grand for the basic frame. There's the Cinebot 30, which actually is surprisingly comes out 103 grams. So I don't know why it's made to be so heavy. And then there's this one here, which is the Cinelog 30, and it weighs in at 63 grams. And so this one will be very comparable to the Pavo 30 frame that I just showed you. This has got a little different layout, so it'll be kind of fun to rehost that Reptile Cloud electronics into this frame. So let's take a look at it. This is what you typically get in one of these frame kits, which I think is amazing value, you know, $35 for all these parts. You know, you'll get some, in this case, it's just a basic layout instructions. They don't really tell you which screws go where, so you have to be a little bit smart about, you know, what screws you're going to use, because they give you a ton of different screws. None of them are marked. You're going to just have to use your own experience to be able to figure out what goes where. It comes with the main top plate for holding the motors and grabbing the top of the stack. There's another carbon fiber plate for the bottom of the stack. This is a I'll call it a riser plate to hold the cameras, both the GoPro mount and the VTX camera sits on this little isolated tray that's held up with some of these gummies. You know, I'm not a big fan of that approach, but I may or may not use it. Comes with prop guards. They actually give you 2 extras. All the screws, TPU parts. This is the battery skid plate and bottom plate cushion. That's probably where it's going to rest on, is laying on this little bottom plate, which I think is a little bit, you know, inadequate. I'll probably have to put some landing feet on it. A couple of different straps, and then cushions that you can put on with some of this double-backed tape to hold it to the prop guards themselves. So it'll be kind of fun putting this all together, stripping the parts out of the Reptile Cloud and flipping it on over and trying it out on this new frame. So let's get going.